Hello everyone, I'm Chef Paulo and I'll be teaching you guys how to make burgers today. So let's start out grabbing everything we need: one onion, a chopping board, a couple of knives, and a bowl. Peel the onion over a trash can to avoid any dirt on the onion contaminating your board. Peel along the root and stem, but make sure you leave a little bit of the root exposed so the onion holds its shape. Next, cut it lengthwise across the root and start making parallel cuts on the onion spaced 2 centimeters apart. Not cutting all the way through to the onion, to the root, to make sure that the onion holds. Next, make 2 horizontal cuts on the onion and make sure to tilt your knife downwards a bit so you don't end up slicing your hand. Next, go straight down with the knife, guillotine motions, spaced 2 centimeters apart, and chop down to get a nice brunoise cut on your onion. When you reach the root, you can just rough chop it until you reach the little pit and discard that. Reserve half of the onion in a bowl and use the other half and cut it in julienne. Julienne cuts, you remove the stem and you bring your knife around the edges of the onions, slowly tilting upwards as you reach the upper half of the onion. Once you reach the upper half of the onion, you will flip it onto the cutting board again and repeat the same motion. I like cutting onions this way better, julienne, because I get even slices as opposed to just cutting vertically on the side. So take your time with this one, and it's a very good way to cut julienne. It's worth it. Next up, put your onions in a little saute pan with a little butter, salt, and pepper on the lowest heat you can, and really just forget about it for the next 15 minutes. Give it a shake occasionally. Next up, we got our burger sauce. This is a classic burger sauce recipe, but you can do it at home and it's super easy. You get half a cup of pickles, rough chop it, and the good thing about this burger sauce is that every pantry has everything you need to make it. A half a cup of mustard, and it may seem like a lot, you will have a little left over afterwards, but this sauce is literally good with everything: grilled cheese, whatever you can think of. Mayonnaise, quarter cup, and a quarter cup of ketchup. So I usually do half the amount of ketchup and mayonnaise for the amount of mustard. And it may seem like a lot of mustard, but when you mix them all together, the sauce is like really balanced, it's really relishy, it's tangy, it's sweet, and literally you can do it in 3 minutes. Wrap it up and we'll start making the toppings for our burger. So next up, I'm going to do a little salad to toss on my burger. I'm using romaine lettuce. I cut off the top part of the romaine because it's a little brown, and I'm doing shreds, just really thinly sliced across the whole length of the romaine lettuce. Get a nice little shredded lettuce. We're gonna toss it with a little bit of olive oil, vinegar, salt, and pepper. Now you can season your salad however you want. I'm using white wine vinegar and olive oil, but you can also use balsamic, tarragon vinegar, whatever you fancy. It's just a salad to put on your burger. Give that a nice stir, and make sure it's in a nice place, and then we'll get on to our next topic. So I'm gonna do a little tomato. I like Beefheart tomatoes when it comes to burgers because they're like really juicy and they have a great umami flavor. These tomatoes, I find they're best eaten raw, and I would usually cook with Roma tomatoes to make sauce. So here I'm just drizzling it with a little olive oil. I'm sprinkling it with a little bit of flaky salt. which I recommend you always season your toppings when you're making burgers. And if you have the flaky salt, it makes a really big difference when you're seasoning tomatoes. So next up, I'm doing a hamburger patties. We're doing smash patties. So all you want to do really is grab your ground beef, which is usually 70% lean meat and 30% fat. Roll them into 2-ounce balls. If you got a scale, that's even better. If not, you can just eyeball it. So I put away those hamburger meats, and now our caramelized onions are done. I'm just gonna put them right into a little Tupperware so they're ready to use when I'm assembling my burger. Next up, same pan, I'm just gonna put a little canola oil and fry some mushrooms. See, I like the combination of tomatoes, mushrooms, and onions. It makes for a really earthy, rustic kind of Tuscan burger. You season that with a little salt and pepper and just literally stir fry it for a minute or saute, and we'll get into assembling our burgers. So here the mushrooms are cooked and they're ready to be used on our toppings. I'm just going to scoop them into another little container so they're ready to go. So here I pulled out all of our preparations so far, and I'm going to grate our cheese. I'm using a nice Dutch Gouda cheese, but you can absolutely use cheddar. You can use Monterey Jack, pepper jack if you like spicy burgers, or even mozzarella. But I feel like Gouda has a nice tangy balance that really works well with all the other toppings, so I'm using Gouda. So buns, Wonder buns are great, but if you can make homemade buns, that's good too. Grab a couple of buns from your store and give them a nice toasting. And for the smash patties, we're going to put the balls straight onto a searing hot pan, and we're going to smash it down with a spatula. The spatula, I kept it in the freezer for 10 minutes so it wouldn't stick so much to the patties, and you really just want to use like a mallet or some object to press down your spatula. What this does is it creates a greater surface area for the burgers to get crunchy and caramelized, and overall this is my favorite way to make burgers. So I seasoned that with salt and pepper, gave them a flip after 1 minute. It is literally very fast. Make sure not to overcook them. And I'm putting mushrooms on top of the patties now, because I want the cheese to melt and trap the mushrooms in it, so you don't have mushrooms spilling all over yourself when you're eating the burger. So I'm putting here the shredded cheese on top, and I'm gonna wait for it to melt, and then start assembling my burger. As soon as that cheese is on there, just start assembling the burger. Okay, we're going to do a little dollop of sauce on the bottom bun and on the top bun too, because that sauce is honestly amazing. And I always put on my caramelized onions on the bottom half because I reserve the top half for salad. The heat of the patty usually wilts the greens, so I keep the toppings that can take a little more heat, like pickles and onions, on the bottom. So I'm doing a double patty here. I'm just gonna stack two 2-ounce patties on top of each other. If I had made a single patty, I wouldn't have got all that caramelized flavor, which is what we really honestly love about burgers. And topping it with a slice of tomato, and I'm putting lettuce, the lettuce we made. That's pretty much it. That's my burger, and it was honestly delicious. It's nice and healthy, and anyone can do it at home. Hope you enjoyed.